All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Nicole Whitlock. This is the Side Hustle Summit. I have with me my amazing friend, Mr. Stephen Hibbert.
What's going on?
Oh, a lot of stuff. And let me just say this Stephen is a serial entrepreneur. He is also an amazing investor. And so he got started on his journey with a bunch of different side hustles, and now he has moved on. So I wanted to have him to be part of the summit just so those of you that are thinking, well, I don't know if I can make this side hustle little thing work. Let me just say, I think some of the insight that Stephen's going to give you about his journey and where he is right now in his business might actually change your mind. So, Stephen, can you tell them a little bit about yourself and your journey? Just let's get into it.
Sure. I've burned through this. I've told this story a bunch of times, but I started when I was probably 13 or 14, um, just selling car parts locally to people. My father raced cars, so I kind of knew the scene, and then I would go to junkyards, pick parts for people. It was in Michigan, so it snowed, it was cold, so I found out that you could sell that stuff online, so I started selling on Craigslist. Then I learned about eBay. I started selling on eBay. Then it was a snowstorm or ice storm that came through, and I was like, I'm tired of even just pulling these parts. There's got to be something else I could sell online. So just learning about what you could sell on eBay, learning that you could almost sell anything on eBay. So all the places that I was going for, thrift stores or anything else, selling stuff. And then I learned about selling on Amazon through Chris Green. I don't remember the name of the book now off the top of my head. I apologize, but he said you could sell stuff and then send it in, and then it
Yeah.
didn't have to be in the house. And I was like, oh, I'm all about that. So I leveraged their warehouse to sell products, and then I would just continue to sell through Amazon. That turned into learn how to build brands and do private label, and then to teaching, and then traveling, and then that got us to me and my brother started a membership. Then that opened the doors for working with some corporations. The corporations, I help them find their bottlenecks and then build efficiencies with teams. And then we put those teams in place. And then COVID kind of took the wind out of that sail. So then at that same time, with just excess money, I was always trying to put it into other things. So real estate was something that I was putting money into. I leaned more into real estate after, like, right during COVID. Things have shot up and skyrocketed. So I've enjoyed the ride up. But now, because prices are kind of high and the way that I operate, I do more off of owner finance and people. And since there's a bunch of cash all over the place, I'm now just looking for other opportunities. But during the full run up to, I was always looking for ways to help people. Sometimes that was small loans, 500, $1,000. And that's evolved into what I'm trying to do now, which is probably a lot more sophisticated with using a self-directed IRA, doing business accelerations with some of the staffing business that I have, finding opportunities. But it's been a wild ride, but it did truly start with the side hustle mentality.
Oh my gosh. 13 car parts. Now we are investing. Okay.
Doing options, bifurcating notes, a lot of just like very interesting things that have come from learning from a lot more older, wiser people. Oh, time's
Okay.
up.
So, yeah, something just literally went off on my desk. I'm
If you're
like, what
cooking,
is
I might be on my way. If that's
I was like, something just went off on my
yeah,
desk.
I'm a sucker for food. You can get me to talk almost about anything for food.
Oh, dinner's done. Uh, so, I think that that is amazing. So, have you ever held like a real job for any significant amount of time, or have you always been an entrepreneur the majority of the time?
Mostly entrepreneur. I left my house at a very early age, so I had jobs. Um, but yeah, there was no like. I worked at a restaurant. I worked in the hospital, transportation. I stocked shelves. I worked in a warehouse. A bunch of like odds and end jobs. I don't think I had a career, but
Hmm.
yes, I've had a bunch of jobs. But I haven't had a job from early 20s, and I'm close to 40, so 18
Almost 18 years, no
or
job.
more years. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you've gone from 13 to Amazon. You did a lot of stuff on Amazon. So, um, from a side hustle like mentality and income and time investment, can we talk a little bit about each one of those? Like how much time you spent in your businesses, your little side hustle gigs? Because were you running multiples? I guess is another question. Were you
Yeah, I guess
running
there was
multiples
always
simultaneously?
yeah, there was always an overlap. And I
Okay.
think in the beginning, it was just mostly me. Like even at a certain point when I had two jobs, I'd work valet and I'd work inside the house. So those were two jobs stacked on top of each other. Plus, I was doing probably multiple side hustles, doing the car parts thing, doing some type of like body work or actually working on the cars. There was always like a bunch of stuff that I was hustling and doing. So I would say yes, a lot of that I would even say now, like I'm doing a bunch of stuff now. It's always been a bunch of stuff that I'm doing. It's never just like one pure thing. Maybe when me and Nathaniel, my brother, were teaching, that was maybe a sole focus, but we also had the seller accounts. Nathaniel was doing merch by Amazon. We were doing print on demand. So yeah, to answer that question, no, it's always multiple side hustler businesses going on at the same time. It's I think again for multiple streams of income, like you don't ever want to just put all your eggs in one basket. I think that's why even working, I wanted like a second job or something else. It was just like if this fails, I need to fail safe to do something else because this is very risky. A lot of stuff that I'm doing.
Oh wow. And from let's just talk about the last 10 years, maybe, or 15, 10 or 15 years. So in the last 10 years, the amount of time that you spent running your various different side hustles, what would you say your like weekly time investment was? Is.
I guess it's a hard like in the startup process. It always takes a lot of time, but then it levels at a certain point. And I think I lucked into having a brother that was 10 years younger. So even when I was maybe not selling car parts because he wasn't around for that, but selling on eBay, he was around. So it was like if I needed somebody to pick something or pack something or go get something, or I was able to kind of leverage that. So I think that started this like, oh, I can't do all this on my own. I have to have other people helping in a side hustle. I think when it starts is like you kind of have to put a bunch of time, energy, and effort into it. But I would be looking for like who can I partner up with or hire to get my time back, because I know multi-million a year people, but they spend all their time in their business, and that's not what I want. So I guess it's really truly what you want. I think you can spend as much time as you want or as little. I would say today I worked all day today, but working today was going to see a friend at 7 o'clock in the morning at McDonald's, meeting a couple other friends. Then I went and ran an errand. Then I went to lunch with some other friends to talk other investment stuff. So that's the type of work I'm doing now, where we're eating, we're having fun, we're hanging out. That's the work that I wanted. This is how I've set up my business. So today is all I'm interviewing with you. This is work. So it's a lot of work, but it's not the same type of work. This work is very different than moving boxes or getting a pallet, or like it's just the type of work I think is different. But the startup work is a lot of like mental thinking, physical work. But I think as soon as you can partner up or hire to get your time back, that's what you should be doing. You should be leveling up in your own hustle to where you can be either the CEO, and now this new evolution that I'm trying to take part in is like being the shareholder of, and not really the CEO. I don't even want to be the CEO anymore. I want to be the shareholder, the advisor, and make my money work more than me work.
Okay.
Maybe this is
Um,
something I could say now. This is something that was said to me when I was younger. From at the time he was probably 60. He's probably 90 something now. But uh, you can either work for money, you can hire other people and earn money, or you can get your money to work for you. And I think
mhm.
that third one was like the one that I was always after, but I just wasn't educated enough to know like how to do that. And I think that just came through the last 10, 15 years of like educating myself on like how do I get my money to work?
Work.
'Cause I think that's the ultimate side hustle, is if you can get your money to work for you.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So I do
Oh, was
love
that
that.
was good? That was
That was good.
good.
But we're going to talk about money working for you in just a second. For those people that are early in this journey, like today, there's like a bunch of different opportunities for side hustles. What would you say that they should consider if they're starting kicking off this thing? They should consider spending in time and also in money. And where would you think? What are the most popular side hustles that you've heard about before we get into making your money work for you?
I guess I'll go on my own journey. I think for me, the when I had smaller amounts to invest, I was always looking for like partnering opportunities or like
Okay.
earning and learning opportunities. I would. There's a bunch of people that have Amazon accounts that I
Hmm.
think they're solo entrepreneurs, and I don't think they understand the benefit of like having help in certain things, either finding product or something else. But you can go in and work for a low amount. I mean, it might be less than anything else, but the sub I don't want to say a number, but at a low cost of you working for that other person and learning, the learning bit is the more
Important.
important piece. That's the piece
Agreed.
that you can really leverage.
Right.
So if I was restarting out, I'd be looking for somebody that's a big enough account that I can help and learn from, and not too small where it's like I'm just a cog in the wheel. We're not really helping each other, and not too big where they have the systems and everything built out, because you really want to be a part of that like growth process. I don't know how to help people identify that other than just like talking to a bunch of people and having a bunch of conversations and being a part of stuff like this where you just who else is in the room with you, start asking who is doing what speakers are here that you could reach out to and say, hey, I loved your piece, I'd love to be a part of, how can I help you? And 90% of the time they're going to say no, but they're just saying no because they got a bunch of other stuff going on. But if you ask them and keep asking them, and harassment's been a huge strategy that I've learned and used for getting in front of like older people that just don't want to spend time with younger people, is just like you got to harass them into the point where they just go like, he's not going away, I might as well spend time with him. And that's what you're looking for. So
Yeah.
I don't know most popular, but I would, whatever it is that you're looking to do, find somebody that's ahead of you and work for them and then get paid for that. And then you can use that money to leverage in. And then for small amounts of money, I would look for opportunities. And each person's opportunity is going to look wildly different. My
Yeah.
mother now is retired. She's got time on her hands. So I was teaching her how to do real estate acquisitions. And I was like, you should be good at it because you like to talk to people. You care. You ask them about their kids, their mother, brother, sister, cousin. Like at a certain point, like, I don't care. I'm just like, what's the problem? How do I solve the problem? I'm the business side of it. My acquisitions in real estate has gone way down because I just like, I want to get to the next deal. And real estate is like time and people is really what makes the deal work. So she's been talking to this lady for probably 8 months now. And the lady is now at the point where it's her mother's home. She's been renting it out, but it's always been causing her a problem. So my mom has just been there helping her clean up the stuff, get a new tenant, whatever the case may be. And now this woman's at the point now where she's just like, I'm done with this. I want to sell. And my mom was like, oh, what is it that you'd like to sell this for? And then now they're just having those conversations. But it's just a opportunity. So seeing that, my mom might not have to put any money into that deal because it's somebody that she knows and she can have a contract and then go leverage somebody else's money or somebody else's IRA or go to the bank and invest the money. Like, and that woman will hold a note, hold it. A note is just carrying back the mortgage, so she doesn't have to put money up front as a down payment. So, but that opportunity just comes through conversations. But it's just leveraging what you think your skills are. My mother is very kind and caring. Talking to homeowners is what I thought was a high leverageable opportunity for her. So
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I just love that. I love everything about it. So this is what I wanted to say for the takeaway. So for some of you, you're probably going, oh my gosh, he's talking way over here. And I'm here. I'm like, he's way over here. So here's the deal. This is a gradual progression over time. This is not something he woke up yesterday and he figured this out. This is staying focused and staying consistent in his side hustle and recognizing opportunities every single time that they were in front of him instead of procrastination and using excuses and running away from it because the work is too hard. He was always willing to drive. And that has gotten him where he is right now, where he is. I'm just going to say comfortable. I'm going to look up as I say that. And he's doing all right. But again, he started off, it was just a gradual progression. And it was because he was willing to get in front of the right people. The other thing I want you to recognize is that there's been an evolution, as you can tell in the conversation, in his mindset, where he was when he first started in his business, and how education and connecting and networking with the right people has gradually taken him through a journey of growth and discovery for himself so that he could get to this place where he is sort of, I will say, a blessing to others because he is a blessing to others. And so I think that's the other thing. Like We all have this vision of where, well, maybe we do, maybe we don't. And that may be the thing you need to figure out. But if you do have some level of a vision where you really want time freedom, it may be an evolution and a journey for you to get to that place where you have the ability to have that time freedom. And it won't be overnight. But would you say that this is a nice place to be right now, Stephen?
Oh yeah, I love it. I mean, we have a house with a pool in the back. We live close to the beach. These were dreams that I had when I was in Michigan, freezing, sleeping in my car. Was just like, oh, one day I'll be able to live somewhere nice. And it is wild to think like it's been a long journey, but it is the difference between like school and when you're outside of school. School is like you're by yourself. You have to figure a lot of stuff out. You have to go, you have to learn, you have to take the test. But in business, it's a lot of collaboration. I always know that I don't know everything, and I'm always looking to learn. And people in business are normally willing to help. So I would invest in yourself. Like put the money into getting books, put the money into going to conferences. Those are the things that if I look back, like those are the things that had the biggest impact on me finding success. It's very difficult to start off because there's a bunch of stuff that you just do not know. But getting around other people and asking questions is the key. And I would say start building up relationships and allies and networks of other entrepreneurs because
Yeah.
people always need or have a problem or and in the beginning it feels like what can I offer? Nothing. But your specialized skill in whatever you grew up doing is a needed piece somewhere. When I started talking to 60-year-olds here that do real estate, I didn't have anything to offer other than I have a car and I can drive you around. So that's what I'm going to do. And I would park in front of their house every once in a while when I know, oh, they're going to be going to a meeting. I know they're going to be leaving their house about this time. I'm just going to go and sit in front of their house. Like, you're not going to leave unless you're in my car and I'm taking you to wherever you need to go. But the whole time there, I'm asking you questions. And the whole time back, I'm asking you questions. And there's been times where I've picked somebody up and took them to the meeting and they found a different ride home because they were like, this kid is asking too many questions. But I know I want that information. I need that information to be a success. So,
Oh
and
my
it was
gosh.
always a joke. It wasn't like they were truly going to go away from me. It was just like a joke to get with somebody else if they could find another ride.
Well, the other thing, I just want people to make the observation like he wasn't afraid to go and ask the question. He wasn't afraid to offer up anything for free just so he could get the information he needed to be able to take his life to
Yeah, and don't
another
take
stage and
no
another
for
phase.
no. No is
Yeah.
just either a next or not right now. Just continue to be asking those questions.
Yeah, and you weren't afraid. That was the thing. I mean, you sound like you had no fear. Like, okay, I'm getting ready to learn this one way or the
Yeah,
other.
when you
I'm gonna
sleep in
find
your
out about
car in Michigan in the winter, you're like, as long as I got to do that again, I don't care. And I know asking questions and gaining knowledge and skill. I think up until even like maybe 2 years ago, my main concern was getting skills. Like I didn't care too much about the money. The money came with learning and applying and doing and growing, but the skill is truly what I was after because we jump from a lot of different things on purpose, so I have better understandings in things. So now when I'm looking at a P&L, a profit and loss sheet or whatever, I know what I'm looking at because I've gone through a lot of this. I know when I'm building a business what really is going to make the bottom line grow, and I'm not getting stuck in any nonsensical thing that takes a lot of time, energy, and effort. Where it's like this isn't really helping the bottom line. It's like a purging every time I start a new business. It's just like what makes this quicker, faster, stronger. Like the $6 million man is like I don't care of how people feel on. It's what actually is going to work. That's what I'm going to pursue and try to do. And I look at other people that are successful in whatever direction I'm trying to go. This new found investment space. That's why I'm spending a lot of time with friends that are investors to go like, okay, if I make this transition, what does this look like? How do I earn an income from this? Is there advisory positions that I can get shares that have dividends? Like, what do those businesses look like? What do I need to be investing in? Is there small businesses that I can help? How should I help them? What should I be looking for? What kind of corporate structure? But that came from just asking a bunch of questions. I wouldn't be able to say any of that stuff when I started because I'd have been like, I don't know what he's saying. But you just keep listening and keep asking questions.
what would you, if anything, would have done differently? If anything,
Everything.
meaning that you
Everything.
said everything. I mean, you can name like three things that you possibly would have done
Well,
differently.
I can only say that now because like when you go through all that stuff, it's just like I spent a lot of unnecessary time doing this. Like I think the only reason I'm here is because of what I went through. But now with this information and knowledge that I have, I can look back and go, that was foolish. A friend of mine pointed out when I stopped selling on Amazon that if I would have took the money that I originally put into it and just bought Amazon stocks, The time that I quit selling on Amazon, I would have had more money by just the shares alone and not had to do any of the work. I could have gone and done anything and made more money, like had the actual physical cash way more than what I did in running the business, because the business has expenses, the business has a bunch of stuff. But if I would have just invested it in Amazon stock at the time when I started Amazon, it would have been way more money than I made from doing the business. That was a very like eye-opening experience to go like, wow, I never would have thought of it like that. The time that it takes to build a business, to start a business is, they talk about like the buy versus build. I think that's great. And maybe it's is better to buy a business than it is to build a business. But I think you have to learn through doing, because unless you have a background in finance or something else, like it's very hard to just go like, oh, you know, the answer is go buy a business, go find a business and buy the business. It's like, that's not as easy as it sounds. Like, I think you have to have some type of understanding of
Yeah.
being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, to then understand what you're looking for in a business. All the stuff that's I've done in my past has helped me now in the current, like, I want to be an investor position. But almost everything we did backwards. We did struggle. So I think it's just a encourage everybody. Like, no matter what you're gonna do, it's more likely you're gonna do it wrong because you've never done it before. Nobody stands up after crawling and just starts walking and running and going like, "Oh, I know exactly what to do." You fall, you bump your head, you
You get
skin your
back
knee.
up.
Like, there's just a bunch of that stuff. But if you can get through that and have the grit, persistence, I don't know anybody that's like really held on and has not had success over the long period of time, because as a human you're learning. Like, it's very difficult to do something and not learn from it that's
Unless you're not
almost
paying
harder to do.
attention. Yeah.
Yeah,
If you're not paying attention, you're not going to learn from it. But yeah, you
in
should
whatever
learn
you're
from it.
doing, give it as much as you can and try to pay attention in what you're doing, and you should be fine. And then when you go, I really don't know this, ask, cheat, look around, look for some other people that are doing some stuff. You don't have to do this on your own. I think that was like the biggest learning lesson when I first started working with Nathaniel, was like, oh, I don't have to do this by myself. Now, I didn't pay him in the beginning because I couldn't afford it, but he was around and we were hanging out. So it was like, this is a way that I can cheat into this. Now he gets paid a lot of money, but in the beginning it was just that. But I think that's why, like, if I was on the flip side, and I don't know if Nathaniel ever wanted to be an entrepreneur. I don't think he still wants to be an entrepreneur. But if I was the flip side, I would have done all that stuff for free just to learn. How do you pack a box? What does it look like to sell on Amazon? What are you trying to do with selling on eBay? Why don't you just pick one? You got a bunch of questions. You just ask them, and then those people can answer them and give you clarity. Instead of you doing it for 6 months and then getting the answer, you could just sit down with somebody, have the conversation, get the answer in minutes versus years and months.
What do you think about? So the one takeaway, I just want everybody to make the observation. He had tenacity. He said had stick to itiveness. He may have had an occasional squirrel, shiny object syndrome, and
Oh,
he get
yeah.
back on track. But he got back on track. Apparently, he got back on track. He made, okay, again, we talked about the evolution, but he also evolved in this journey. So consistency is going to be your key to being able to get to that place, making sure you have those lessons learned and observing what it is that you went through even after you've gone through it. Sometimes we call them post-mortem because it almost killed us, but
It's been a
it
lot
almost
of
killed
near death experiences that I've had for sure. Yeah.
it's like, oh, my business is about to die. Trust me. I'm like, okay, we're not gonna make it.
I would
But
say that was a big step up for me, from like constantly doing business, and jumping from one to another and building the house and then burning it down. As soon as I started investing, it brought a lot more like stability and growth into what I was doing. So no matter what side hustle or business that you're doing, find ways to invest, because that's the future benefit to yourself. Plus, you're going to see actual growth, because there's been a bunch of times where we're just resetting business and we've gone back to zero or below zero. But because of the stacking money aside into investments, it was like we're not starting all the way at zero in life. Like, we have other things that we're now propping up on, because even the pandemic, that was the like perfect storm, because we were just venturing into a new business that was really starting to take off. We had some investments going, everything kind of crashed down. But because we had stuff stacked like all over the place, it wasn't a scary time for us, because I was like, at some point, something's going to open back up. Not only do we have cash on hand, but we have multiple businesses, we have multiple investments. Like, out of anybody around me that's going to go through this, I feel like I have the people that will be able to be in the best position because they also have a bunch of legs on their table. It's not just we are at one job and everything is, hopefully we go back to work. It was like, it's coming in, rents are coming in, it might be slow, somebody might miss, but it's like everybody's kind of in this together and I wasn't alone during that time. So having friends, understanding and spreading yourself out as soon as you can, maybe. Spreading your money out. I wouldn't necessarily spread your like focus, but like your money you should be putting into something or learning about how
Putting
to
it
have a
into another.
retirement account, something. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So another tip, learn some stuff. Definitely connect with people, try to build some relationships. So what mindset do you feel like today versus, that you have right now compared to maybe 10 years ago? What's different about this mindset? And what do you think
Confidence.
what's the mindset that people need to have to be able to do to be
uh,
able to weather this storm of you, like you said, burning the house down and then rebuilding it?
I I guess the mindset of just like me being confident in myself now is a big difference. Like me knowing that I have friends that I can go to and turn to. I've invested a lot of things. I've tried a bunch of different stuff. I've put myself into difficult situations and got myself out of it versus maybe even 10 years ago, we just like that like overwhelming feeling where you're just like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's not
Mhm,
working. I don't even know how to adjust. It's now like, even if I have that same feeling, I just go, oh, I got to make a couple of phone calls and I'll reposition this. Because some of the business model that I'm trying to build now, I want to use part of it in a self-directed IRA, which is in a investment account, but you can't do self-dealing. So it's like, I don't have any concept of what this even is other than I know the legal rules. I have to ask
mhm,
somebody else. That mindset of like self needs to do everything versus like I just need to ask other people, I think is the bigger mindset shift for me. Because I think even 10 years ago it was like I have Nathaniel, I have a couple of people, but I don't have like a teams of people around me. I don't
mhm,
have like niches of friends that do business investing, that do real estate investing, that build businesses, that buy sell businesses, that are hedge fund guys. Like it just came from a bunch of collaborating and asking a bunch of questions and getting into the room with those guys and building relationships. I guess that's not really a mindset, is more as like relationship.
You figured out that you need people. You figured out that people are important to this process, even if you are a solopreneur. So if you guys don't get anything else, you need to realize that people are
Collaboration.
important to this
Yeah.
process, if nothing else, as a solopreneur. You're even as a solopreneur, you're really not solo. People buy your products, whatever that product is, or your service, whatever that service is. So you don't just make money. Like
In
even
a vacuum.
investments, even in stocks, there is a whole process of, you know, Walmart stock wouldn't go up if people weren't going to the Walmart store. People are involved in all of this, whether you realize it or not. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Oh,
and I think
I'm.
even if you're an introvert, it's still like, I wouldn't say it's easy.
Mhm,
It's easier because you're around the people like you that
mhm,
like business. That I think I have in like times where I don't want to talk to people where they're talking about sports or politics. Like I just don't care. I shut up. I like tend to stick to myself. But as soon as somebody's talking about business, like I light up. I'm like I'm an extrovert at that point where I just love to talk about business. So I would say if you have a hard time talking to people about business, that's what you really got to look at it. Because maybe there are side hustles for it, but that has not been my journey. It's always been a collaborative tale. Clyde, he's probably 98 at this point. Um, a few years ago, he's a good friend of mine. He's a big time real estate investor. He's got a bunch of multiple multifamily things, assisted living facilities. He's done a bunch of stuff. He's been in California for a long time. He has a bunch of trailer parks and all kinds of stuff. But he pulled me aside when we
mhm.
were at a conference, and he said, "You, me, Stephen, are going to have the most success if you get 1%." And I was like, I don't understand. We had a long conversation where he was like, 100% of a house means like you have to manage it. You have to pay taxes. You have to do all this stuff. But the way that you think is just different. You perceive things different. You structure things different. You, Stephen, are going to have more success if you get 1% of a deal by offering your problem solving, your skills, your abilities, your understanding, your experience, and just getting 1% of the deal and then going to the next deal. because I have a very like build it, burn it attitude.
Mhm.
That he was like, that's great for solving problems, but it's not great for managing businesses. So the managing piece, you should try to find somebody else. But if you could just get 1% of a lot of these things, and that's changed my whole outlook on how to operate now. And I am just looking for, how do I help? How do I play my role? Because I know my
Mhm.
role is not building and managing businesses anymore. But if I can help a business and then get even 1%, it's very lucrative, because we just had someone have an exit and I had 1%. And that 1% is more than I made even probably 10 years ago in a year. And I was just like, oh, okay. Yeah, this is what he was
I
getting.
understand now. Yeah. Okay.
Because when businesses sell for multiples and they're in that large number category, that 1%, you wouldn't think it's much, but it adds up
It adds
fast.
up. There we go. I need to go invest $5 into something so I can let it grow, 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 so I can get my 1% out. Well, Stephen, I am so glad that we had a chance to talk. I promise you guys this conversation could go on and on and on. Stephen is
And
a person.
has.
It has. We have talked for hours before. And Stephen has been a great advisor to me on my journey, not just as an e-commerce person, but also as a business owner, and taking this journey from being a small side hustle into something bigger. So I'm grateful for his time, his energy. I know his time is valuable. So I just want to say this session is a bonus session for you because of the fact that, he wasn't currently on the schedule. I said, hey, can I get you on here and let's just talk about a couple of things from a side hustle perspective. But I'm hoping the biggest takeaway that you all have, I think there are five. I'm just going to I'm going to name them. One is that where you are right now is not where you're going to be if you stay
Amen.
with it and you be consistent about it. Two, that it is going to be an evolution and you have to be awake and aware as you're going through the evolution. And hopefully that you'll learn and learn as you go through, make adjustments where you need to, but learn, 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 learn. Four is collaboration. Collaboration really, really matters as you are going on this journey, that it can make all the difference in your business. And then five, consistency. Consistency is going to be the glue at the end with the collaboration. I think the two C's together as help Stephen get to, we're not going to say what the number is, but he's comfortable. And and it all started with car parts, 13 years old, his dad. So, I mean,
Yeah,
he's
the
not.
other caveat I would throw in there is just, as you're going through this journey of side hustle, just understand financing and
Mhm,
investing, because that
mhm,
has also been a huge benefit for me in the stability of, because I think being a serial entrepreneur, there's a bunch of ups and downs. And I think my wife played a huge role in that too, of just like, I enjoy when the things are good, but I hate when the things are bad. You have to figure out how to make this a little bit more stable. And that started that whole new path of like trying to find older, well-off people to go like, all right, what did you do? And how do I also emulate some of those pieces in this
oh
crazy
yeah.
doing?
I think that was the other thing. I forgot, no fear, because you literally had no fear. You were not afraid to approach people older than you, more mature than you, more experienced than you. You did not have ego. You were ready to be a sponge, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
I constantly tell people I'm not sure. I don't know, but I'm willing to give it a try.
He's like, I'm willing to fail forward, but
Oh
that's
yeah.
okay. In the middle of failing forward, I am actually going to learn something on this journey, and I'm going to use that piece of information to go build something else later. So,
Yeah, don't be afraid to fail. I think that was big takeaway from just like from 13 to now when you said, do I have any regrets? Like there's been a bunch of stuff where just like a bunch of time was wasted, a lot of unnecessary failing because I didn't know any better. But it's part of the journey. You have to go through some of that to learn. As long as you're not repeating those mistakes, I think you are ahead of yourself. If you fail forward, there's so many times you can fail forward before you go, I've actually gone somewhere. Because
yeah,
even through failing, I'm making forward progress.
I've evolved and I have grown, and that's the key. So,
I should write a book like that. Failing forward into the success.
yes,
I feel like that's
I
exactly what I've done.
I would love to collaborate with you on that. But in any case, thank you for your time. I know your time is precious. I thank you for your contribution. I hope that some of you got golden nuggets from this. Please feel free to email us or comment below and let us know whether or not this session, even though it was shorter, was helpful to you, because he's clearly in a different place than those that are starting on the side hustle journey, but that doesn't mean that you can't be there too. And with the latest technology and the ability to get information much faster than 15 years ago, you could probably accelerate this whole process significantly
Yeah, there was no YouTube.
these days.
There was
Yeah.
none of that stuff. You
There
just
was
had to.
none of that. So the fact that he spent X number of years doing it, you may be able to collapse it down to 5 and be where he is. That's all I'm saying. Maybe even 3. So am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No,
No,
no.
I'm not wrong. Yeah.
Because my
Yeah.
brother, I've helped other people get there a lot faster than when I took it. I go, oh, that's would have been nice to have somebody be able to do this for me, but
Yes,
I didn't know
absolutely.
people, and I don't think I was really asking or talking to people back then. I was just like, I'll figure it out and grit through it. But
Mm.
that's not how you do
You don't
it.
have to do that today. You don't have to do that today. There's so much out there. All right. Well, Stephen, thank you for your time. So this has been another episode of the Side Hustle Summit. We are going to say goodbye for now. Bye, guys.